Hi, this is Scott Garibay, and today I want to talk about Lego Dungeons and Dragons and what the Lego Dungeon Master can now do with Lego Dungeon Master, and what the Lego Dungeon Master can now do with Lego Dungeons and Dragons. This is a really fascinating topic. First 50 years of Dungeons and Dragons occurred and existed um, without Lego, right? But the second 50 years of Dungeons and Dragons is happening with Lego. And so the moment Lego Dungeons and Dragons Red Dragon's Tale set arrived, it opened this question of what can we do with it? All right. So we've talked about Lego Dungeons and Dragons Red Dragon set specifically um, being used to run a Red Dragon's Tale campaign, right? Very straightforward, just continue beyond the adventure, right? Then we talked about Red Dragon's Tale Click, which would be continuing Lego Red Dragon's Tale directly into clicking that set to another Lego themed set, right? And then just continuing the story straight in, right? And so all the miniatures, all the minifigs are perfect. There's no transition, there's no conversion. You just simply move the story into another Lego themed world, right? Then we talked about Lego Dungeons and Dragons Lego Dungeons and Dragons Gygax Click, which is use Red Dragon's Tale, and then move beyond it and run a traditional Gary Gygax Dungeons and Dragons setting like Curse of Strahd, right? Like, and go from there. What I want to talk today about is the Lego Dungeons and Dragons external click. So this would be external IP click, which would be using Lego Dungeons and Dragons to run a story in an intellectual property that has never been officially connected to Dungeons and Dragons and has never been officially connected to Lego, right? You're like, wait, is that even possible? Yeah, there's a few. There aren't, there are some very significant intellectual properties that have never been officially connected to Dungeons and Dragons and have never been officially connected to Lego. Perfect. Let's talk about one. Perfect example of this is Avatar: Last Airbender, right? So Avatar: Last Airbender has never been officially licensed by Dungeons and Dragons. It actually does have an official tabletop role playing game, but it's kind of unplayable because it's PBTA, right? Like, and you're like, oh, well, you have this major intellectual property, but you guys are going with this super amateur, storyteller nonsense tabletop role playing system. Thanks, next. And I think a lot of people, I skipped it. A lot of people just skipped it. They're like, hey, I'm super excited about this IP, but no one's excited about PBTA, right? Like, and I think we really know that now because of Candela Obscura. They used a PBTA themed, system, and like everybody was like, no, thank you, right? So, and then Lego has never officially connected to Lego. Lego has never officially connected to Avatar: Last Airbender. So, one, can a Lego Dungeons and Dragons Dungeon Master play this? In my humble opinion, 100% yes. And now, what do they need to do it? Same rules as before, right? You have to be using the Dungeons and Dragons PHB DMG MM, right? You use that rule set. Then you have to use one Lego Dungeons and Dragons brick. It can be as simple as a base plate, right? But you need one brick, right? And then you just literally connect everything to that brick, right? That's, very straightforward, but you're using official Legos, official Dungeons and Dragons. But so then why can we branch out and tell stories and intellectual properties that have never been connected to these two? Well, because there's a tradition of it in Dungeons and Dragons. Dungeons and Dragons says right in the book, you can use this to tell any story you can imagine, right? And so there's a tradition of it. And when Lego came to Lego Dungeons and Dragons, they did their due diligence. They understood what it meant to be connecting to Dungeons and Dragons. Dungeons and Dragons can tell Dungeons and Dragons tales, it can tell Lego tales, and it can tell tales beyond those, right? In intellectual properties and in intellectual worlds, right? So and those and but the scope of that story is your table, because it's not an intellectual property you own. You can't take that story, you can't sell it anywhere, you can't write it, like you have to, you can't sell it, right? Like you have to respect those IPs, but you can tell stories in that, in those worlds, right? So and this gets really exciting because you're like, can I actually do it though? Can I actually represent Avatar: Last Airbender with Legos and with Dungeons & Dragons? With Dungeons & Dragons, 100% yes. It's been built from the day one to tell any story your imagination can come up with, right? And then from the Lego perspective, heck to the yes, right? There are literally 6 decades of Lego, and you can absolutely do a powerful job of representing everything seen on the screen in the animated and in the live action, right? And we can continue stories there. We can tell stories with Aang and Katara and Sokka and all those kind of things, and that's just one intellectual property, right? So that's how it's done, and I absolutely believe it's completely appropriate to do it, right? And I think Lego fully understood the moment they signed on with Dungeons and Dragons that they were in for the full ride. Everything that had been done with Dungeons and Dragons before can be done with Lego now. The only caveat that I think it's important for every Dungeon Master and every Dragon Master to remember is keep the supply line, keep the construction parts official, right? Make sure you have a Lego Dungeons and Dragons brick on the table to click everything else to. You just need one. You just need one. You don't have to use every single brick in Lego Red Dragon's Tale. Now, I will say, Lego Red Dragon's Tale, if you're running a Dungeons and Dragons Avatar: Last Airbender campaign, there's so many bricks, literally thousands of different things could be configured to depict literally right from the Lego Dungeons and Dragons Red Dragon set, right? So you can use one brick, or you can use literally 3,000 bricks, right, from it. But there's an invitation, in my humble opinion, that was given on August 1st, 2024, to use every Lego brick that's ever been built, right, to build out any worlds we want to. And so so it's extremely exciting. I think this is a powerful way to start thinking about Lego Dungeons and Dragons, and we're really in a new day now with really new paths that we can start to go down. Every single word you just heard is my humble opinion. What's important is when I get to hear your humble opinion when you get in the comments and send your traffic. Please consider liking and subscribing, and have a fetch millennium.